Hello everyone, welcome back to P-Town Throwdown. First, I want to thank Bagel Supreme for being P-Town Throwdown. Don't forget to check them out right here on Farview Ave in Paramus. I'm Hana Weisigner. I'm a sophomore and I run varsity cross country and track. And today I am joined by a few of our seniors who are going to be playing at the college level next year. So I'm going to start over here. How about you introduce yourselves and just say what college you're committed to?
All right, I am Dylan Nahas. I'm going to be playing Division I soccer at Gardner-Webb University in North Carolina.
Hi, I'm Magda. I'm going to be swimming D3 at Fairleigh Dickinson University in Madison, New Jersey.
Hi, I'm Abel Cartagena, and I'll be swimming Division I at Manhattan College up in the Bronx.
Hi, I'm Daniel Hong. I'll be wrestling Division III at the College of New Jersey in Ewing, New Jersey.
Hello, I am Nicholas Emiliano. I'll be playing baseball at Stockton University, Division III in Atlantic City.
Hi, my name is Aoi. I'm going to play D1 soccer at George Washington University in DC.
Awesome. Congrats to you guys. So obviously getting recruited, obviously the recruiting process is a big part of it. So I was wondering, what would you say, how'd the process go for you, but also what was your favorite part of it and then your least favorite part?
So for me, it was a lot of emailing. There's a big process that comes with playing sports at the college level. You have to get in contact with coaches. I mean, I played at the high school and I played on a club team as well. So it was emailing, going to camps, and just getting in front of the coaches all the time and making sure that they know who you are. I think for me, my favorite part was definitely seeing who else is out there trying to play at the same level as me. There's a lot of competition, and there's a lot of great players out there. I think that my least favorite part might be the stress and pressure of trying to really shine in front of all those coaches.
Just as Dylan said, you want to contact every single coach you could find. You want to go to these big tournaments, camps, so you could get recognized. And
So for swimming, it's also emailing every single coach that you would want to swim for. It's also the waiting is the worst part because you spend hours maybe planning out your emails, making sure you have all of your times are correct. You have every single one of your best times. You have maybe some of your high school achievements as well as your club achievements, as well as maybe even your GPA or SAT score, because that also helps when getting recruited as an athlete. And the best part was definitely finally getting answers back after waiting such a long time.
Well, for baseball, to start off, I emailed a lot of coaches. I went to many camps, and the kids there at the camps, I've seen so many talented people. It's hard to, and there's only 9 spots on the field. You have to fill one of those spots, or else you don't get a spot on the team. And yeah.
I'd say for swimming, it's like Magda was saying, it's very time oriented. So you basically just have to present yourself for your best events and your best times. And even if it's just your best event, you also want to show you your secondary events and everything. And then definitely my favorite part was once you narrow down on a college and you start meeting other recruits, you start talking to them, and then you start a fire kind of starts, because then you see who else is trying to either take your spot or filling in another spot that could potentially be yours. So it's you get very competitive. And my least favorite part was definitely emailing all those coaches, especially because once you start hearing back, you hear back from just so many at once. It's whoa, I got to keep track. So then you just go and you have to then respond in a timely fashion to each one. And because if not, then you look rude, and then, yeah.
For me, I only played club. I never played high school soccer, so I think my recruitment process was so much different from you guys. For me, I went to a lot of college showcases from my league, and that's how I got in contact with college coaches. And my club coach actually helped me a lot with the recruitment process. I just emailed a lot. I went on phone calls. I researched all the colleges that reached out to me. And yeah, my favorite part was just contacting college coaches, talking to them, getting like a bond feeling, becoming like part of like their family. And the worst part was, the waiting game. Like we were in the dead period when we started. So it was just hard for us to get in contact, seeing them in person, going to college, like visiting them. So I think that was the hardest part.
Yeah. So kind of going along with that, like what would you say are some of the important traits to get to this level?
I definitely think determination, very important. You have to be really focused. You have to be contacting the coach every chance you get. You have to be getting in their face. You have to constantly be pushing yourself to be better than everybody else, and you have to really get the best out of yourself with whatever you're doing in terms of grades, in terms of just playing, and you have to make sure that those coaches are noticing all these things that you're doing.
So one of the traits I think I also agree with Dylan, it's definitely being focused. You have to make sure that you know where you want to go, because you don't start out by emailing all of the D1 colleges, because that's just not going to happen. You have to know where you are. You have to know. I emailed D3, D2, and D1 coaches, and I got some emails back from all of them, but it also depends on where you want to go. So you have to know kind of, sort of, what you would like to do.
I'd say definitely being a well-rounded student athlete. At the end of the day, you are there to study, and coaches want a smart kid on their team. They don't want like a one-stop shop. They want a kid who's going to help the rest of their teammates grow. And so what I'd say is definitely you got to make yourself stand out in that aspect, right? Because there's a lot of other kids who want your spot. So how are you going to distinguish yourself enough so that way the coach is like, hey, I like this kid a lot more than I like the other kids. Let me give him an offer.
A few traits I would say you need is hard work and dedication. You need the hard work for your sport because if you're like below average, you're not gonna get recruited. So you gotta be like the top of the top to get recruited. And dedication because it's not only the sport that requires hard work, but you need to be dedicated in the classroom, have good grades in order to get recognized.
I would say some traits you need a lot of time and effort because I went to many like places where people told me to come work out with them just to like fix what I need to do to get better. You need to put in a lot of hard work because you need to be better. You can't just be sit home and just be good at something. And yeah.
I'll say consistency, like emailing colleges on a daily. You don't want to leave them hanging. Like just because they don't respond to you doesn't mean they're not checking their emails. So that was a big part of my recruitment process, and also doing your research. For me, a lot of college coaches reached out and I never heard of them. So I actually had to do like research and look into the college itself to see if I'm interested or not. And yeah, keeping track of colleges that reach out to you and don't cut them off just because you're not interested at first. You never know what's going to happen in the recruitment process. Like your top one school might not be interested in you, so you have to go to like a second one or a third one. So yeah, I guess just keeping all your options open.
Mm-hmm. So kind of backtracking, so looking over the course of your 4 years here at PHS, is there like a specific core memory you have from your sport or something that you're going to miss going into the college level?
Ooh, I definitely think that there's a certain feeling when you get to play for the team in the town that you grew up in. For me in particular, there's when we would play Ridgewood, those games always got really heated, and I remember in particular like a core memory I have from playing here is we were playing them at home, and it was just a single play. So I scored a goal. But watching the entire, like after I scored, watching the entire Ridgewood bench go insane with like anger just made me feel incredible.
So one of the core memories I have from high school swimming is just the amount of freeness that you have on high school swimming versus club swimming. In high school, it's much more laid back, especially for the athletes who play club. The high school coach kind of throws you around anywhere you need to be. One of my favorite and least favorite memories is when I had to fill in a spot for someone who didn't show up. And that was the 100 fly, which is 100% my off stroke. Very few people actually swim and fly, and I was a club athlete, so I had to fill in that spot because that's what I could do. And it just kind of felt good that I was able to help out my coach in that way, and it would also, well, suck because I didn't like that event, but you just have to be willing to flex and flexibility.
I definitely think my favorite memory was definitely senior year when the boys made states for the first time in a decade. Being on the team for the past 4 years, our winning streak, like we had a winning season in my freshman year, and I was like so happy. I was like first year on the team, winning streak, but unfortunately we didn't make states. And then sophomore and junior year, when those kids had graduated, we were on a losing streak. We had like it was just like a dip in our like I guess like the swimming in general. And the minute senior year happened, I became a captain for the second year, and I was like, all right, guys, we're gonna turn the season around. And then sure enough, we did. And especially since I was captain, I felt like it was my team, and I brought my team to states in for the first time in over a decade. And well, the sense of accomplishment you get is like incredible. Like the minute we found out, because we were like on the ledge, we were like we might make it, we might not, depending on how we do these next two meets. And once we found out, it was literally like the best feeling I had. It was so nice because it was like first time in 10 years, and my team made it. Like I led my team to do it. I helped my team. My team did their part. They held their end of the bargain. You know, they had some incredible swims. I couldn't have done it without them. So.
One of my core memories was winning the sectional title because our team, we've had this focus for like the past year and a half now, and we've been game planning, strategizing, and practicing just for the moment, and to finally win it was the best feeling ever. And something I'm gonna miss is like competing in front of my hometown, like all the people I grew up with. It's like I don't think there's any better feeling than winning in front of your crowd.
Some core memory I had was the first time stepping onto that varsity field and getting some time as a varsity player of sophomore year. It was really special to see my parents see me growing up and actually succeeding in the sport that I love. And one of the sad things was yesterday we had my last home game. Stepped off that field for the last time.
I never played high school, so, I didn't get the experience you guys did, and I kind of regret not playing high school, but yeah.
Is there anything you're gonna miss from your club, or?
Just seeing my friends, I guess, we come from different towns, so we bonded. That was like our second family, kind of, so yeah, we're gonna miss playing with each other.
Nice. So to kind of wrap up this interview, is there any advice you have for like underclassmen like me who might have a future and wanting to play at the college level?
Just keep plugging away at it. Don't let coaches who aren't getting back to you. I think Allie said earlier, just because they're not responding doesn't mean they're not reading it. So just keep plugging away at it. Keep getting in their face. Keep getting in front of them, and do everything you can. And what happens happens.
I think it's definitely. What's the question?
Like, do you have any advice for like underclassmen?
It's definitely you don't have to be the best of the best at your sport. It's definitely in swimming you have specific strokes. In soccer, there's different positions. In baseball, there's different positions. In wrestling, there's different weight classes. So you just have to find out where you fit. And even if you're not the best of the best on your team, you have to realize that other colleges may think that you are the best. So you just have to get out there and do your research and know where you stand against these collegiate athletes.
I'd say my piece of advice is definitely, like I said earlier, to stand out, right? Coaches want, like I said, a well-rounded student athlete, but they also don't want like a pushover athlete. You know, you're there, you want to take that spot, right? And there's also a lot of other athletes who want that spot and they want to take it from you. So I definitely suggest you want to have sort of a cockiness aspect, but nothing too like overboard. You just want to show the coach that you're here and you're not here to play. You know, you want that spot badly and you're not willing to give it to anybody else, but that you are there for, you know, you're also there to help your team grow. You know, you're not just there for yourself. You're there for the whole team, and that you can be a team player as well.
My advice is to just keep contacting these college coaches, going to like clinics, these showcases, these big tournaments, and I would like make sure you have good grades in the classroom, because no matter how good you are in a sport, if you don't have the grades, you're not going to go anywhere.
What I would say is just to be different. Don't be a follower. Be a leader. You just can't be the exact person as somebody else. You need to you need to stand out in a different way. So say somebody's better than me at fielding, I'm sure gonna be better than them at hitting. So
I'll say best advice. I had it in my head. Now it's gone. I'll say trust the process. Everyone has a different recruiting process. Everyone's gonna commit at different times, and there's no reason for you to like get rushed because someone else is committed or your friend's committed. I think just taking your time, trusting the process, going through it all, you know, just relax and calm. Yeah.
Well, I'm sure myself and alongside many others will definitely keep that advice in mind. But really quickly, before we wrap up this video, I first want to mention here we have a slide full of photos of Paramus athletes who are currently or have played sports in college. And in addition, before this video ends, we have Umaima here that is going to go interview some of the audience to ask some questions. To ask for some of the athletes up here. So let's throw it on over to Umaima.
And congrats to all of you guys on your success and on your achievements. So before I take it to the audience, we have a special guest here with us today, Mr. Derisi, our athletic director. Mr. Derisi, thanks for being with us today. So as a past PHS athlete yourself, how do you feel seeing the new generation moving on to collegiate athletes and representing PHS?
I think it's great, not only that they get to continue their athletic experience, but also that they get all the benefits that go along with being a collegiate athlete, the networking, the social aspect, as well as like learning time management and discipline. As difficult and challenging as it was to manage your schedules in high school with the recruiting process and your academics, it's definitely a step up at the collegiate level. There's really no off season. You get a couple weeks here and there, but it really is training all year round. And to highlight what Abel said, every athlete at the collegiate level is competing with one another within their program for competition opportunities. So while you build that bond and while you're like getting to know your teammates, it's an interesting relationship knowing that you're both competing for the exact same competition opportunities. And that's very similar to the workforce, where you're working with some of your like colleagues and some of your company associates, and although you're all pulling the rope in the same direction, you're still all competing for promotions and recognition. So it's definitely a valuable experience to learn how to balance those two things, working cooperatively while also competing for recognition. So I'm excited for you. I'm looking forward to following your careers at the collegiate level, and I actually have a couple of questions for you. A lot of young athletes have this perception of the recruiting process where they come off the field or out of the pool and there's 20 recruiters lined up at the fence just waiting to get an opportunity for FaceTime to ask you questions to see if you'll sign with them. And I think we all know that that's not necessarily how it really works. So my questions are, one, When did you really start the recruiting process? Was it as a senior, a junior, a sophomore, or as a freshman? What percentage of schools reached out to you compared to you initiating that communication with them and reaching out to them first? And finally, this is a little bit new to me because social media wasn't as large and wasn't as didn't have as broad of a reach when I was in high school as it does now. What impact or what role did social media play in your recruiting process, whether it be Twitter, Instagram, or even just creating an online recruiting profile that you had an opportunity to share with collegiate coaches?
I mean, I can take the first question. I think that, so for me, my recruiting process started in like late 8th grade, moving into freshman year. And it was just a lot of initially whittling down what schools I thought I was interested in to begin with, based on location, based on academics, and then also what division I wanted to play. But then on top of that, it's just emailing and getting in front of those coaches. I started by writing a draft email that had a lot of general information that I could send to everybody, and then from there, based on the ones that responded or based on things that I knew that were happening at the school, whether it be with the program or just in general, emailing with more specific information to stand out from everybody else. Can you repeat the second
What
question?
percentage of schools reached out to you compared to you initiate communication?
Almost none. Majority was just me reaching out to those coaches, me getting back to them when they did respond. I didn't ever get approached by a coach until maybe this year when I was playing like on my club team and we went to a showcase and I did well. But outside of that, it was almost always me contacting and initiating those conversations. And can you repeat that?
And what role, if any, did social media play in your recruiting process?
Social media, it helped. If you platform yourself correctly, you can give those coaches a place to go to so that they can get maybe general information. I mean, for me, I also I created a website so that it had all my information for my sport and everything about me in regards to getting to that college level. But social media definitely helps if you use it correctly.
Does anybody else want to take any of these questions before we move on to the audience?
I'll take a couple. So the first one was,
What year did your recruiting process start?
okay, so I started freshman year. I emailed a bunch of coaches, and the second question was
What percentage of schools reached out to you compared to you reaching out to them?
probably like 5% of the schools reached out to me. Not even. It's a lot of. You would think they're gonna be all over you, like all over the field, like taking like radar guns and like to see how much velocity you're going, but it's really not like that. It's they see some clips of you, they want to see more, so you send them more, and yeah, the third one was.
What role, if any, did social media play in your recruiting process?
Well, social media played actually a very, very big role because our club team had a guy, he's called the recruitment coach, and he made like Instagram and like Twitter, and every time we did something like big or like how he broke down our swings in videos, and like all these college coaches like follow him on like the platform, and it really made them contact him, and then he contacted me to contact them. So yeah.
I'll take the next set of questions. So definitely I started my recruiting process end of junior, beginning of senior year, like that summer is when I had, end of junior year, I narrowed down what schools I kind of wanted to go to. I had a list, and then I checked if they had swimming, and then I checked which ones didn't. And I ended up applying to all of them, but whichever ones I had swim, I reached out to the coaches, and then whichever ones didn't, I still was like, I'll apply to you. Second question was,
What percentage of schools reached out to you compared to you reaching out to them?
so I reached out to a few schools, maybe like 8, but I did get a lot of coaches that were reaching out to me. I'd probably say about 50%. I got a lot of schools that were, once I got my name out and I had a clip out of me like swimming my stroke and my best event, a lot of coaches started reaching out to me. Definitely once you get your name out, that's when they'll start coming in. Originally, like when you first start looking for schools, unless your name's already out there, not a lot of coaches are going to be reaching out to you. Like when I was ecstatic my first one, I was like, holy cow, it happened. then after that, all of a sudden they all started rolling in, and then that's when you're like, okay, I gotta say no to this person, yes to this person. And the last question was,
What role, if any, did social media play in your recruiting?
social media didn't really play that much of a big role in mine. Besides like uploading a few clips to a few websites and saying, here, this is me, and then just give me a little bio of myself. Other than that, I really didn't use social media. It was mostly phone calls, or I'd email the coach, if anything.
So I think to reiterate something that I think Ali said during your interview, it's different for everyone. And I know for Dylan it started all the way back in 8th grade, but then for Abel it only started last year. So I'd like to all the athletes who are younger who are thinking about doing this, just by listening to these athletes here, you have to trust your own process, as Ali said, and just stick with it, because it's different for everyone. So I'm going to move on to the audience now to see if anyone has any questions.
I have a question.
Yeah, go ahead.
What was the biggest roadblock in you guys' recruitment process?
Definitely like competing with other recruits, because like the college coach may want this kid or that kid, and you're gonna have to like show all your abilities just to get that spot.
I think also the NCAA, that period that we were in because of COVID, we couldn't really see the coaches in person and we couldn't play, obviously. So I think that had a big role in our recruitment process. I think that was hard for us, and especially the year above us, they had a hard time with that. But yeah, I think that was one of the hardest part we had.
I think to even add on to that, the kids that got an extra year of eligibility means that there's even less spots this year than there were the years before.
And less money.
Yeah, and less money. So it was incredibly difficult to find schools that actually had places the spots for you on the team in general. So yeah, I think that was really incredibly difficult.
I would say like junior year, I think it was, I had a couple and I wanted to really go visit the schools, but we really couldn't because of COVID. So I had to do these virtual tours, and I couldn't really feel what it felt like to be actually there at the school and what I wanted to see.
I'd definitely say with the NCAA rules, there's like certain deadlines where coaches can't talk to you and they can talk to you. I was definitely a roadblock because sometimes I was like, hey, I was ready to reach out and it was like, oh, we're in a dead period, but once we get out, I'll talk to you. And then it's like, sometimes they would like, I would slip their mind, they wouldn't even look back, and like I had to just be on top of them like, hey, dead period's over, I'm here.
Well, thank you guys so much for your input, and thank you all for your questions. I'm going to throw it back to you, Hannah, to close out this video, and best of luck to you in your futures.
Thank you guys so much again for coming on today, and I wish you all the best of luck in your futures at the college level.
Thank you.
Thank you.